Hello everybody, my name is Jafar Arashmer. I'm your TA in the course Introduction to the CAD ME347. In this tutorial, I'm going to teach you how to create a crane hook in SolidWorks and then import it into ANSYS Workbench to do a finite element analysis. This is the crane hook that I want to create. Before starting, I want to show you the model that I have created before. Here is the model. I want to create exactly something like that in SolidWorks. Alright, I'm going to start with a new file. Before starting, I'm going to change the dimension to CGS. And then I'm going to create a center point arc in the front plane. The center is the origin. This is an arbitrary center point arc. I'm going to create another one. Alright, now I want to make this point and this point aligned horizontally with the origin. If I select these 3 points, if I click on the horizontal, you can see that they are now horizontally aligned. Now I can click on the green check mark. Okay, at this point, I want to dimension the arc. The radius of the inner arc is equal to 70 centimeter, and the radius of the outer arc is equal to 170 centimeter. Click on the green check mark. Now I want to create a center line starting from this point. It should be a horizontal line, something like that. I'm going to create another center line starting from this point to this point. Alright, if I click on a smart dimension, if I click on the horizontal line, I can define the angle between these two lines. That should be equal to 45 degrees. Okay. I want to create another center line starting from the origin. For example, up to here. And another center line starting, for example, from here to here. This is an arbitrary center line, and it should be perpendicular to the previous center line that I created here. Okay. Now I want to create a 3-point arc starting from this point to the intersection of these two lines, something like that, and click on the check mark. Now if I click on this vertical line and hold the Ctrl key and click on this line, I can define a tangent relation between these two lines, something like that. You can do the same thing for this line and this arc and define a tangent relation. Okay, in the next step, I'm gonna click on the point. I'm gonna create a point on this line. And the distance from this point to this vertical center line is equal to 90, for example. I'm going to create another 3-point arc starting from this point to this point, and I want to define a tangent relation between these two lines. Something like this. As you can see, we have 2 points here, this one and this one. This point is a center of this arc, and this point is the center of the other arc, which is here. Now I want to make them horizontally aligned with this point. If I click on the first one, hold the Control key, second one, and this point. If I click on the horizontal, it becomes something like that. Now the sketch is fully defined, as you can see here. In the next step, I want to come here. First of all, I want to define another 3-point arc starting from this point. For example, to this point. Do the same thing. Create a 3-point arc starting from this point, for example, to this one. Again, it is an arbitrary arc. In the next step, I want to make this line and this line tangent at the intersection. Do the same thing for this one and this one. Define a tangent relation between these two lines. Okay. I'm going to click on this arc and this one. I want to add a new relation between these two lines, which is equal. I'm going to click on equal. And now I want to define the radius of, for example, this arc. The radius of the other arc will be the same because they are equal. I'm going to put 85 centimeter. Okay, I'm going to zoom in here. I want to define a circle. And the diameter of the circle is equal to 20 centimeter. I'm going to check mark. If I click on the circle and hold the Control key and click on this arc, I want to make a tangent. And do the same thing for the circle and also this line. Again, I want to make a tangent. Now, if I zoom in, if I click at this point and drag it up to the circle, I can make a tangent to the circle, something like that. And I'm going to go to the trim entities. Using power trim, I can remove the additional parts. And then I'm going to get rid of this dimension because I don't need it anymore. I want to define the distance from the origin and the end point, which is here. It should be equal to 200 centimeter. Alright, now I want to split this arc to two different arcs. In order to do that, first I need to create 2 points, one of them on this center, the other one could be any arbitrary point on this arc, for example, this one. Click. Now if I right click on this arc and click on delete and click on yes. Now the arc is gone. So if I go to the center point arc, using the center, I can create an arc starting from this point to this point. I can do the same thing, create another arc with the center, starting from this point to this point. Click again. Now if I click on this arc and this line, again I can define tangent relation. Do the same thing for this part. This line again. Alright. Now I can exit this sketch and before exiting the sketch, I can create a couple more lines here because I'm going to use these lines in the future steps. I'm going to create a center line from this point, also from this point to this point, the last one from this point to this one. Okay, click here. Now I can exit the sketch, and I can click here on the sketch and click on the 3D sketch. Okay, first of all, I want to create another center line starting from this point to this point. Now I want to create a circle. This is the center point of the center line. I want to create a sketch, a circle. As you can see, I'm sketching in the XY plane, but I want to change the plane of sketch to YZ plane. If I rotate it a little bit, I can change the plane of sketch to YZ. As you can see here, the YZ. I can do the same thing for this line. First, I need to move my cursor along this line to find the center, and then sketch another circle in the YZ plane. Do the same thing here. This is the center. For this one. And the last circle that I want to sketch is here. As you can see, I have sketched 5 different circles in YZ plane. I'm going to click on the green check mark here and go to the insert, surface, and boundary surface. You can see I got 2 boxes here, direction 1 and direction 2. First, I click on the direction 1 and select the first circle, click on OK. Do the same thing for the second circle, click on OK. I'm going to do the same thing for all of the circles that I've created before. And this is the last circle. Okay. In the next step, I'm going to click on the direction 2. If I right click here, here's an option, Selection Manager. If I click on the Selection Manager, I can select the path by clicking on these arcs. There's another arc here. and click on the green check mark. Alright, I can do the same thing. Right click, selection manager, clicking on this one, this line, this one, and there's still another tiny arc here. Okay, if I click on the green check mark and click again, I can see this is what I got here. As you can see, this is not a solid body, this is something like a shell. Now I want to create a solid body, but before that I need to create a surface. Here, in order to do that, I should go to the Insert, Surface, and Planar Surface. Now if I click on this edge, click on OK. It's not still a solid body. In order to define a complete solid body, I should go to the surface again, and this time here's an option, Neat. If I click on Neat, first of all I need to select the top surface, and if I click on the body, I should check this box, Create Solid. And if I click on the green check mark, the solid body has been created. There's only one step ahead. I want to create a circle on this top surface and then extrude it. If I click on the top surface and click on the circle, first of all I need to find the center of this surface and then create a circle like this. And if I go to the features and click on extrude across space, now I can extrude this circle up to 150 centimeters and click on OK. Now I'm done with the generation of the crane hook, 3D model of the crane hook in SolidWorks. Please stay with me. I'm going to show you in the next step how to do the finite element analysis in ANSYS Workbench. But in order to import the 3D CAD model of the crane hook into the ANSYS Workbench, I need to save it in IGES format. To do so, I have to click here, go to the Save As. As you can see, there are multiple options here, different formats of files. I'm going to click on IGS, and I can name it as whatever I want, doesn't matter. And as I said, I'm going to show you in the next step how to do the finite element analysis on this crane hook. Please stay with me. Alright, in this part, I'm going to show you how to implement the finite element analysis on the crane hook. First, I just need to open the ANSYS Workbench and double click on Static Structural. And if I right click on Geometry, I can select the IGS file that is saved in the previous step. Import geometry. Here is the file that is saved after generation the 3D model in SolidWorks. Click on Open. Now double click on Model. It takes a little time to be imported into the ANSYS Workbench.